Hey, I'm JR Lay, and welcome to the Level Up Business Podcast. What if the only thing standing between you and the future you want as an entrepreneur is your frequency? To help answer this question, I'd like to introduce you to Chris Walker. Chris is the founder of Encoded, where he is on a mission to help high-achieving entrepreneurs like you access new levels of clarity, alignment, and power by upgrading your internal operating system. But before we unlock Chris's unique wisdom, are you a visionary entrepreneur who wants to elevate your brand and increase your influence? If this is you, send me a text, 832-240-1922. That's because I want to teach you. I want to show you how you can turn video content just like this into a published book so that you can start monetizing your unique wisdom in just 90 days. Now, let's get ready to learn, grow, and level up together with Chris.
So, Chris, man, a lot's changed since you and I last had an official podcast conversation. We've been having a lot of backlog, back channeling, just sharing learnings, lessons, insights, patterns. And before we get too deep of all the progress that you've made, uh, what has been going well for you personally and or professionally?
Dude, better question is what hasn't been going well. Everything's been, if I thought about what was on my 2025 plan last year, I would have never drawn up any of what's happening. I wouldn't have sold my agency that I announced selling last month. I wouldn't have started this new venture. I wouldn't feel the way that I feel. I wouldn't have gone to the places that I've been. I wouldn't have engaged with the people and all the amazing humans that I've been able to. And I think the biggest thing is when you follow what lights you up and you follow your intuition rather than trying to put it in a spreadsheet and make sense of it based on what society tells you to do. It just makes you feel amazing. And so I've been following that. I've been trying to inspire others to do the same. And really excited for this conversation and to catch up with you.
Well, you're sharing things I've been seeing in my own personal life. It's just interesting to have that external perspective because this has been a journey that I've been on to continue to, I would say, elevate and level up. First and foremost, just as a human being, break free from a lot of beliefs that I've had, programming that I've had, and even to the point to where like with level up business we have these 7 virtues, and the very first one is to be the light, because I think there's a lot of people right now that they're struggling, they're stuck, they want to ascend, they want to get to a new level, and by no means do I feel like I have arrived. I just feel like I'm making progress and I'm able to see where I came from, but also the things that are coming into my life, the people that are coming into my life. And I think the interesting thing that you've been sharing is frequency. Frequency is your future. Let's start there. What do you mean by that? And specifically through the lens of the work that we're doing in the entrepreneurial world, what do you mean by frequency is your future?
Yeah, for sure. Let's stop for a second on leveling up and ascension. Because me in the past, and I think how many people look at it is what is ascension? Oh, I need to make more money. I need to get a promotion. I need to get more followers. I need to uh, look better. I need to find a better partner. I need to break up with my girlfriend and find someone better. Everything that people are looking for is outside of themselves.
Ooh.
And what I have come to know for myself and trying to offer and invite others to see the same perspective is that it's all within you. That better, quote unquote better, that ascended version of you already exists inside of you. You don't need to reach outside to try to find it. It's there. It's just operating at a higher frequency than where you operate right now. And so when some people hear me say the word frequency or talk about where I am in frequency, they assume that it means that I feel like I'm better than other people. And that is 100% not true. I am still tier one survival and scarcity Chris. I know what that feels like. That version of me still exists. That version that doesn't have enough money, that feels like they're behind, that operates from urgency and pressure and scarcity and selfishness. That version still exists of me. and I am operating at a higher frequency where I've transcended that version of myself. And for everyone to realize that if they are in a state like that, at a lower frequency state, that their high frequency state exists inside of them already. And it's more about tuning into yourself. One of the main things that I love about frequency is that it is measurable, it is structured, it is scientific, it is repeatable. It is like training your body, nutrition, sleep, any human skill that you are trying to learn, dribbling a basketball, playing an instrument, that with structured, repeatable process, you can get better at it. And so that is what forever people still, and we talked about it on the podcast, people text me all the time, the Hawkins map of consciousness. And that is an incredible framework. However, it is entirely unactionable and mystical and doesn't leave you with, okay, I'm operating in shame or courage or wherever. What do I do next? Where do I go from here? And many people report that to me, that basically they find that it's helpful for a minute and then generally unactionable from there. And so the goal is to make this a structured, repeatable process for everyone. Every single human has the capability to do this. It is a human skill, and I'm excited to show people that there is a path. One, to raise awareness of where you are right now, and in addition, to have a structured process to follow.
I want to go back to something that I'm telling you. My wife, my wife has said this for years, and it wasn't until about maybe 18 to 24 months ago that I started to realize, like, s- the way that she would think about herself, perceive herself, was like, I'm better than this. Like, she saw that within, and she's always been one to be very in tune and touch. Um, her intuition is completely like next level. It's taken me a while to get up to that and understand. And I was like, "Well, what do you mean you're better than other people?" She's like, "I'm not telling you that I'm better than other people. I'm just saying it's like I believe I have a perception of myself that's higher than where I'm at today, and then it'll be higher and higher and higher, and it's all it's and I see this also with my son. He's 3rd in line. We have 4 kids, and it's become very clear. He's almost been a mirror to me that he he's turning 11, but he looks externally a lot. He looks external for validation. Like, "Dad, watch me do this." I'm like, or, "Dad, what do you think about this Lego that he built?" I'm like, "Well, what do you think about it? Do you like it?" 'Cause it's and I'm being mindful of, like, he's looking outside, or if something happens, he's like, "Well, I did this because of that." What about inside? Going inside, everything you have is already inside of you. And then the other thing too is the continued action, like we talked about before, the Hawkins scale of consciousness. Great insight, but insight doesn't lead to the action. That's just perhaps information, and I know that you believe that the information era is eroding, and the old game of knowing more, it's not gonna be the same. Um, let's talk about the shift before and then I wanna use, like, a little bit of a path to go to the left, and then we'll come back. What do you mean by the information error is eroding? Knowledge, knowing more, working harder, before we get back to frequency? What is shifting here that those watching and listening need to be mindful of before we get back to the science of frequency?
So this has happened in history before, and whenever there is a major technological advancement or shift, what happens is that in the first tier of it, people try to do what they used to do faster, better, and cheaper, which is the era that we're in right now with AI. During that time, most people do not perceive the second and third order consequences of this technological advancement. And so, historically, back in the day, it was called the industrial era, and people made money using their hands. And then this thing called the internet came along, and people started to make money using their brain. It was called the knowledge era. And during the process of the knowledge era, you could see the tier one changes that happened, which was also known as the dot-com bubble and subsequent crash, where you went from receiving physical mail to an electronic mail known as an email. And people didn't realize and perceive all of the second and third order consequences, like ordering a taxi using the internet, how it disrupted and changed elections and the government and globalization dramatically. And so we've already been through this shift, and history repeats itself. So now we're moving from right now. AI is the big technological shift. We've been in the information era. Most people are using AI to do the same thing they used to do, faster, better, and cheaper. Like, let's take our sales development representative and automate it. Let's take our customer service person and turn it into a robot. Instead of having a personal assistant that's a human, let's have an AI based one, right? So just doing everything that we've already used to do. And they do not see the second and third order consequences, which is that the idea that a human gets valued on storing information in their brain and then using and applying that information to make money and to deliver value to the world is entirely collapsing. And society, the entire way society works has been built on that principle. From when you're born and then you go into school, and what do they teach you at school all the way from 7 years old until 22 when you complete college? They shove information into your brain and they make you regurgitate it back out and apply it. The education system will be completely disrupted. Right now, people are just using AI teachers to do the same fucking shit that they used to be doing. This is going to change fundamentally. And so the big shift now is switching from a human is valued based on the information that they have in their brain to now a human is valued primarily by the frequency that's coming out of their body. Now, what is frequency? Frequency is the signal that comes out of your body that is a combination of your beliefs, your emotions, your actions, and your intentions. And when you combine those four things together, you get a signal that comes out of your body. Now, everyone can relate to sometimes they're around a person and they feel, something isn't right about this person. Maybe you can sense. They don't even have to say anything. You don't have to look at their body language. You can just feel it. Maybe their intentions are off. Maybe they're just operating with such selfishness or anger or fear that you can actually just feel it in the air. This is a human superpower, and people can sense this. Everyone can sense it. And alternatively, you can also sense when someone has pure intentions. You feel better around them, and they don't even have to. They're not teaching you anything. They're not doing anything for you. You just feel better. And so that is going to be the primary way that humans are valued, which will lead to organizations primarily hiring based on frequency match instead of your skills or your knowledge or your credentials or your experience. It will lead to relationships, business partnerships, intimate relationships, friendships revolving around, is this person operating at the same frequency as me? Do they share similar beliefs about the world? Do they lift me up? Do they feel great about themselves? I want to be around those people. It doesn't matter how smart they are anymore, right? I can go to AI and basically replicate most of what someone else can do to a good level, right? You still need engineers, but think about in 2 to 5 years. Like the information is not going to be valuable at all anymore. Receiving access, right? Communities will be built and say, we only want high frequency people in this community. Right. I drove home from the gym today in Austin, Texas, and there was a homeless person screaming without a shirt on. I'm walking down the street with my girlfriend, and there's somebody that's just like operating at such a low frequency. Nobody wants that around them. And eventually humans will opt out of those scenarios, and there will be access to communities, to spaces, events, groups, all based on frequency match, which is an amazing thing for the human race, because historically people have segregated based on the color of your skin or how rich you are or what job you do. And this is a much better way that gives everyone equal opportunity to groups based on how good of a person they are, how they feel about themselves, how they make others feel, which I'm getting like tingles in my body just talking about it. It's an amazing thing for humans.
I think let's roll back on a point you made about how you feel about yourself, because you talked about value, how we value others. But how do we value ourselves? Like, how do we perceive our own value our own self-worth. How does that play into this equation here? You talked about beliefs, actions, emotions, intentions. Once again, do we have to look internally first before we think externally?
It's 100% internal.
Okay.
And based on how you show up and what frequency you're operating at, and it's just, I forget the principle when you're thinking about buying a car and then you see that car everywhere, right? If you're operating in shame or fear, wherever you go, that type of stuff is going to find you, right? We do not see the world the way it is. We see the world the way we are. And so that is like a massive insight for everyone. I think we should spend time going through the tiers and all those details. So I'd love to do that. But the
Yes.
key point here is that it's all inside of you, and then how you show up dictates. And it's historically, people have been able to hide it a little bit. You've been able to be at a low frequency and operate with manipulation and pressure. And because you're rich, people look past it. And that is going, or if you're successful or you have followers or things like that, people look past it. That type of stuff is going to change.
I was laughing a little bit when you brought up the point of the cars. Audrey and I, we were having a meeting earlier with another entrepreneur and literally used that same exact example. So it's just interesting. Like that was about an hour ago, and now it's once again it's like literally showing
That's
back up
super meta.
in the conversation. So yeah, let's look at these different levels, and perhaps tie into, because I think it's important. You mentioned this the idea of frequency. It can be measured, it can be benchmarked, it can be coached, it can be elevated. But what are the different levels that we need to be aware of? Because you mentioned like tier one, Chris, fear, scarcity, that's there, but I also am able to look within and continue to elevate there.
Perfect. And so to set the structure, I want everyone to understand that this is a skill, a human skill that you can learn. And I'm going to give an example here of dribbling a basketball, or actually, let's just play playing basketball. Okay. When you're in tier one, all you can do is look at the ground and make sure the ball bounces off the ground and comes in your hand, and that's all you do. You can't look up. You can't see what other people are doing. You can't manage the game. You can't look at the coach. You can't look at the clock or anything. Then all of a sudden, you figure out how to do that. And then you can walk and dribble. That's like tier two.
Mhm.
And then in tier three, dribbling becomes automatic. Now you can dribble and things like that. And then
Mm.
once it becomes automatic, then you can look up. You can see what other people are doing. You can look at the coach. You can you can see the game. Then in tier five, now you can see the game. That happens automatically. Now you can run plays. You can manage defenses. You can do things like that. And then all of a sudden in tier six, all of that stuff is happening automatically, and you are commanding the game. And so that is a core example of how skill development happens, where you master a fundamental skill, which then allows you to elevate to a new level of skill mastery and then continue to stack them. That is important for this concept that people know, because historically people have found like raising their consciousness. Oh, I have to go to an ayahuasca retreat. I got to meditate 7 hours a day. I have to heal myself. It's like, fuck that. Okay. This is a skill. Nobody's broken. Nobody needs any of that. This is all inside of you. This is a skill that can be developed. So that is, I just want to make that 100% clear.
It's interesting, and I like the analogy of basketball. I played, so you're bringing me back to like being 5 years old, just looking at the ground, bouncing up and down, to playing all the way through high school. So it was a lot of fun. The other thing that I'm thinking about though is connecting a dot where we've been down this path before. History repeats itself. You brought the Industrial Revolution in as an inflection point. And I'm thinking about a lot of the reading that I've done from books written around that time period, the late 1800s, the early 1900s, 1920s. There was a book by Florence Scovel Shinn called The Game of Life and How to Play It. And the way your analogy here is it's a game, and moving all the way up to tier six, your words were, you get to that point, you're commanding the game. So perhaps we have these 6 different tiers from looking at the ground to commanding the game. What does that look like practically speaking? Like where are people at tier 1?
Let's go through all of them clearly.
Yeah.
Um, and so the point is to empower people. That was why I started with that, so that they understand, oh, if I'm here, there are clear actionable steps that I can take to dribble the ball better, right? Okay.
Mhm.
Tier 1 is called survival and scarcity. Somewhere between 70 and 85% of the population operates this way. This does not mean that you're poor and you're searching for your next meal. This is a mindset of how you go about the world, how you perceive reality, how you perceive yourself. The quote, the quote of this level is, "If I just earn, prove, or fix, maybe I'll feel okay." Um, and the common signs are overthinking, overworking, burnout cycles, constant urgency, anxiety, pressure, seeking approval, praise, external validation, emotional reactivity and volatility, feeling stuck, behind, like you're running out of time or you're not enough.
You don't have enough. There's never enough.
I've been in that. I say that, and I'm like, oh, I remember exactly when I felt that way, right?
Yeah.
And so for people that are in that tier right now, you can be honest with yourself. Self awareness, emotional vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness, and being able to say, "This is where I'm at." Or as we go through the rest of the tiers, you'll be able to clearly see, this is where I'm at. Maybe because I don't intellectually understand the other levels, or because you have the self awareness to realize that you're there. Um, and so tier 2, we can
I wanna pause you on tier 1 real
love it.
fast.
Cool.
The point on poverty, perhaps it is it fair to frame it around poverty of maybe poverty of mind, or what some might say poverty of spirit, poverty of how they perceive themselves, because this comes back to the belief system here. Uh, and like, one thing that I've been working on in an affirmation, I've had enough, I have enough, I will have enough because I am enough. Like, I have everything I need already. And that just continuously reconnecting that, it's like there's nothing that I'm not going to have because I have it.
That is a beautiful, empowering belief. Somebody else could have a different belief, which is, I don't have enough. I haven't had enough. I'll never have enough because I'm not enough. And it's literally
Oh,
just
that was me.
whatever
That
story
was
we
Yeah,
want to tell ourselves. Like everything is a story that
yeah.
we tell ourselves about what happened to us, what's happening to us, what will happen to us, or who we are.
Mhm.
So poverty or scarcity, like I remember feeling like, I'm falling behind. I don't have enough time. I'm not married by now." A lot of that comes from comparison, external validation, um, general proving and things like that. And lastly, societal, familial, and cultural conditioning.
Mhm.
We are told a story about how the world works, and then we unknowingly agree to it, and then that is the world that we live in. And it doesn't have to be this way. We have just chosen, or unknowingly agreed that this is the way it will be.
That's tier 1. Tier
Tier
2.
one. Tier 2 is called breaking the illusion. The key quote here, that resonates here, is, "Everything I've been taught might be a lie, but I don't know what's real yet." Common signs are consuming books, podcasts, or content trying to figure it out, feeling in between identities or disoriented. Um, that could feel like not resonating with your old friends and relationships, but not having new friends or relationships that resonate with you yet. It can feel like a void. I've definitely been there. Flashes of intuition, quickly overridden by self doubt. Seeking out teachers, coaches, or mentors to try to help them figure it out or give them answers. And then spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity.
Mm. What do you mean by toxic positivity?
Toxic positivity is pretending to feel good in hopes of being seen as high vibe.
Mm.
And so you don't actually feel good about yourself. You know that something is off, but instead of having the awareness and the vulnerability to say something isn't right here, like this is the state that I'm in, you default to toxic positivity, thinking that other people will think you're still seeking validation, to think other people will think that you're better because you're pretending to be positive. Which a huge insight for me personally over the past 12 months, maybe a little bit longer than that, is that vulnerability and self awareness is one of the most empowering, amazing strengths ever. I can go back in time and say, I really messed that up and not care at all what anyone else thinks about that mess up, what my mess up. That's mine. I can talk about all these different things where I used to operate from survival and scarcity and ego, and I built my audience mostly by trying to prove stuff to people. And with To have that awareness now help is once you see it in yourself, then you see it everywhere. Anywhere I look, I can see, oh, that person's trying to prove something. That person's trying to manipulate people, but disguising it as generosity, or they're doing a pretty good job hiding it. But I can see right through that stuff now.
Yesterday, I was facilitating a workshop with an organization out of Colorado. And one of the team members brought up a point of like, well, I don't know if I want to bring this part of myself to work. Like I tried to keep my personal and my professional life separate. And I said, well, interesting. Tell me more. Why? And she was like, oh, I don't want to be found out. And I was like, found out about what? And I said, listen, I understand where you're coming from, but it's like, I remember whenever I tried to have like a public persona and I had a personal persona, like I wasn't integrated, and I'm still working on this myself. And the conflict that I would feel, it's like I think you even mentioned the point of the identity. It's like that confusion. Like who am I? And I finally just I was like, can I just tell you what I would tell myself or what I would tell my kids? And she said, yes. It's like no one gives a fuck. No one gives a fuck about you, who you are. You're caring too much about what other people think. I said, if you just shut the noise down, and as we wrap things up, she goes, thank you for calling me out. And I was like, I just, it's what I just felt called to do at that time. Cause I've had people tell me the exact same thing. My wife probably being the number one, specifically with the toxic positivity.
Hmm.
It's like, you're fake. I was like, well, I don't know what else to do. I'm just going to try to fake it till I make it, I guess. Cause it's just, so that then brings us to tier 3.
Hey, it's JR, and I just wanted to thank you for tuning in to learn, to grow, to level up together from Chris's unique wisdom. Are you a visionary entrepreneur who wants to turn video content like this into a published book so that you can elevate your brand and increase your influence? If this is you, send me a text to 832-240-1922. That's because I want to teach you. I want to show you how you can transform your past experience as an entrepreneur into IP that monetizes your unique wisdom in just 90 days. Now, let's get back to the show with Chris.
Yep, we got a couple more things. So I want to just back up from
Oh,
tier.
sure.
I missed a couple things. So from tier
Okay.
1 to tier 2, the main upgrade trigger is when you realize that your fear-based emotions and behaviors are programming. They're not your identity, and you can consciously choose differently, which is super empowering.
Mm.
When you're in tier 2, that we just talked about breaking the illusion, some of the places to focus would be practicing honest self-reflection to consciously disentangle from inherited beliefs or roles or systems that have been given to you. They're not yours. To build trust in your inner knowing instead of focusing on looking for from answers for other people. And to shift attention inward instead of externally. And the main upgrade trigger from tier 2 to tier 3 is that you stop searching for answers outside of you and start trusting and acting from your inner knowing.
All transformation starts by telling the truth. All transformation begins within. This is going from the outside, the external, to the internal,
Hmm.
is what I'm hearing when this shift happens from tier 1 to tier 2.
Let's get to tier three.
Let's keep leveling up.
Tier three, I call encoded activation. With a key quote here is, my beliefs, emotions, actions, and intentions shape the reality that I live in. What a powerful, empowering way to go about life. To realize that you shape the world that you live in. You shape your relationships, you shape how you show up, you shape how you feel, you shape how you see the world, you shape the results that you get in your life based on the way you think, the way you act, the emotions that you feel, and your intentions. Common signs of tier three are emotional highs of clarity followed by energetic dips and self doubt, expressing truth that scares you because it feels raw, edgy, or uncomfortable,
Mhm.
taking bold action, then questioning if it was too much or too soon, feeling the pull between the old identity and the new one you're stepping into, and becoming aware that your internal state is influencing everything that you're experiencing outside of you.
Is this where perhaps a statement like, "As above, so below, as within, so without," enters into the equation because your external reality is essentially a mirror of your internal world?
I do believe in that. Um, I think that a empowering way to look at it is that your emotions do not happen for no reason. Your emotions do not happen because of a circumstance that happened to you, like you got an email, you got a promotion, you got fired, or something like that. What causes the emotion is how you think about that neutral circumstance, and everyone has the power to choose how they think about something, which then drives how they feel about something. So, for example, one entrepreneur, their employee quits, the best employee. One person will look at that as, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. Now our business is going to fail. What are we going to do? What's the emotion they feel when they think those thoughts? Scarcity, fear, anxiety, pressure, urgency. And then they take action based on those emotions, and you can play it out based on what they're going to do with those emotions and thoughts. And then an alternative entrepreneur could say, this is the best thing that ever happened. They're probably going off and getting an incredible opportunity. We're going to be all right. This is going to give us an opportunity to grow within or bring someone else on the team. And this is an amazing thing that happened. And then they feel abundance, confidence, calm, and they take entirely different actions based on that. So the point here is that the circumstance, the employee, your best employee leaving, is a neutral thing that happens, and it's only when we apply our subjective thoughts to that circumstance does it mean anything.
Mm,
And so having that understanding of our thoughts create our emotions and then drive
yes.
our actions from those emotions and then create the results that we have in our life, and the results that we get are just confirmation bias to the thoughts that we already believe.
So what I'm hearing, and I think in like a mental model, is you have a thought, you have an experience, stimulus, you have a thought, you have an emotional response to that, but in between that space between the thought and the emotion, you have a choice to react or to respond. React might be going to a default programming response, and to use your words, it's a more empowering thing to control the the emotional response to the thought. Am I following the pattern here?
Um, you at the beginning, when you are learning this skill, you must interrupt and pause. You must say,
Okay.
"I feel anxiety." Pause. Okay, time out. Get down a piece of paper. Say, "The feeling I have is anxiety. The circumstance that happened when I felt this anxiety was I got an email from a client."
Mm,
And then reverse engineer, what thought am I thinking that is creating this anxiety? And then you can identify what is that thought, use some self awareness, and then you can play the whole thing out and say, okay, so if I think I'm not delivering enough and this client's going to leave, which then makes me feel anxiety. What
Mhm.
action would I take from this state? And you can say, I'm going to send an email back to the client that's super long, trying to prove to them how valuable I am. And then the result that you're going to get is that the client you still feel that you're not doing enough for the client. And you can pause that and say, okay, instead, I get an email from a client. What is a more empowering thought that I can think? Oh, I
Mhm.
provide immense value to the world, and that's it. I provide immense value to the world and do plenty for our clients. The feeling, confidence, calm, then you just answer the email, move on with your day. And so that's
I'm smiling and laughing because you the practicality that you're bringing to this, and I'm hoping others that watch and listen can feel and be like, "Okay, I've done that." Like, you're bringing me back to probably 5 to 10 years ago. Like, I did that. Like, I've tried to
same.
justify what are you like, what are you talking about? Like, and then you remunerate and and my wife would always call me out like, You're wasting your time. Like, you're worth so much more." And it's like, it's funny how she would see things. So this is thanks for coming back because this is
Yeah, dude, I
just
love
like
this.
practicality of this is massive, man. So 3, are we ready to go to 4?
A couple things. So, like,
Sure.
just like dribbling the ball, right? Being able to interrupt that pattern and go through that model manually, which might take you 15 minutes for the first 10 times that you do it. But eventually, when you do it, it just happens automatically. It's an automatic skill, which then allows you to, and now you're just automatically thinking the right positive thought about every single circumstance, which makes you feel better emotions, take different actions. And when you master that level of cognition and emotional ownership, then you can focus on higher order activities. And so inside of tier three, core focus areas, anchor your new identity through consistent habits and creative expression. Clear all fear, proving, and sabotage patterns and habits. Practice following through on aligned action, even when discomfort and those types of feelings arise. Track real world feedback as evidence of the impact of these changes. You will see when I feel better, I also experience different things. And when I think better thoughts, I experience different things. Track that to continue to build your confidence and belief in this truth. And lastly, build resilience in choosing your own inner truth over external approval.
Mhm.
And then the upgrade trigger here is that you take consistent action from your aligned identity even when it's uncomfortable.
And
That's the main upgrade from tier 3 into tier 4.
in that consistent action, for me, a personal perspective is action is the antidote to anxiety. I think what I have found of being anxious to take an action, the faster I take the action, the faster the anxiety goes away. There's a bit of a Joseph Campbell coming into this as well. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. Um, Proceed forward.
And so just to go back to that model real quick, you have circumstances, thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. There are only two things that we have full control over in that model. We can control our thoughts and how we think about our circumstances, and we can control our actions.
Mm,
Now, if you think about that waterfall and how it goes down in cascades, actions are actually a lower leverage place to focus than thoughts. And so
mhm,
people use New Year's resolutions and they say, this is the year I'm going to get in shape. And then they operate. If you just try to change your action without changing your underlying beliefs, that is called willpower. Willpower runs out between 14 and 30 days. And you go back to the same identity and beliefs and thinking after that because you tried to change your action without changing the thoughts that are driving the emotions and actions. And so when we think about I feel anxiety, yes, you can take an action which might help build your confidence in taking that specific action. However, a higher leverage activity would be to identify what am I thinking that's causing this anxiety, and then reprogram that belief.
mhm.
Um, And I can and I've talked to other people that experience this as well. I feel zero. I used to in 2020, pretty much my whole life before 2021. I would feel anxiety and I would tell myself a story of I'm just an anxious person. This happens to me sometimes. I'm just, I work hard and I get stressed out. And then I realized that my thoughts are creating this. And for at
Mm.
least the past 12 months, I have not felt a single ounce of anxiety. And it is not a medical condition. You do not need medication for it. You need to reprogram the beliefs that are causing anxiety.
I like the way that you frame that, and once again, it's the practicality of this. It's what do you believe? Maybe even why do you believe it? What does it take to go from to the next level?
So now we're entering tier 4.
Mhm.
Um, any from tier 3 forward is incredibly empowering. Um, so that's just one key thing to know. I know everybody and their model, like in the way they think, is like, I I'm trying to be in tier 6. I'm trying to be the best, right? And amazing. Like I love that. One, think about why are you doing that? Are you doing it so that you can impress other people? Or are you doing it because it is it intrinsically motivating to continue to work on yourself and understand why you're going for that? And then another thing is that, like for me, um, college or sports have levels, right? You play t-ball, then you play in high school, then you play in college, then you play in the minor leagues, and some people make it to the pros. And just because you only played college baseball and didn't make it to the minor leagues or the pros doesn't mean that you don't live an incredible life. And so that is another thing as well, is that I do not, I'm really intending for this not to be something that people obsess over. Like every
Sure.
single progress that you make makes massive impact to your life, your relationships, everything that you experience. And we should be celebrating that progress at every single step, not reaching for something that's farther away. Um, tier 4 is called energetic mastery, which means that you primarily shift the way that you engage with the world from primarily cognitive to primarily energetically. The key quote here is I trust my frequency and I live what I know. And just like dribbling the basketball, this is the stage where dribbling happens automatically and you can look up and see the whole world.
Mhm.
Because you don't have to worry about yourself anymore. You think positive thoughts, you feel empowering emotions, you take aligned action, you trust your inner knowing, and then you can look around and say, "Oh, wow, I can feel that person's energy, person's negative energy because I'm not worried about myself anymore and thinking about myself, so I can feel all these things that are going on." It's a higher order skill that now you have the ability to see. Um, I can be walking down the street and feel the energy of should I turn left or should I turn right? And I follow that. I trust that energy and I just follow it. And this is not spiritual or mystical or anything. This is a way you can go about the world. Um, the common signs of tier 4 are decisions feel instant, clean, and rooted in internal resonance. You feel it and you make the decision and you go.
Mm.
Just like turning left or right on the street, I can feel the same internal resonance of should I sell my company and follow it just
Mm.
as easily as turning left or right in the street. I feel it, I know it, I go. Rapid synchronicities and clean manifestations. Clean being a key word here because it's not driven through your ego or feeling not enough anymore. Emotional stability and consistent clarity. I know a lot of people are seeking that. You find clarity and purpose through removing all these other things within you, not adding new stuff in. It's actually mostly about removal. Um, these are some big ones now. People shift just by being in your presence. People can feel that. They feel better about themselves. They feel more clear about themselves. Why? Because you don't need anything from them anymore. You don't need the validation. You don't need to get something from them. You don't need their money. You don't need to be an energy vampire and draft off of their emotions. You don't need anything from them. And you reflect back a clear picture and you see the best in them. It is
Mm.
amazing. It is so cool, and that we're starting to get to to the levels of why frequency is going to be the main value exchange in the future, rather than information and knowledge that you store in your brain. And then lastly, you feel steady, magnetic, and deeply in control of your own frequency. Meaning that if you're driving down the street and somebody cuts you off or like I've had where I live in Austin, and like there's a big homeless problem here. And like one time a homeless person threw a stick at me, and like maybe a lower tier version of me would have tried to start a fight with them because they'd almost hit my girlfriend and it was mean. And this time I say, oh, it was my fault for walking on this street. I know that there's homeless people here. I'm going to turn around and go back. Like it's actually my fault. Um, and
Accountability, responsibility.
exactly, I just have full responsibility, and I can understand what's going on with that person, and I can realize I can just opt out of the situation, and that interaction doesn't make me angry, scared, or anything like that. Like there's a difference between being in fear of your life and having cognitive fear, right? So um, that those are the feelings that you have in tier 4, the common signs, and then the focus in tier 4 is to be able to calibrate your frequency with precision. The language that you use, the habits that you have, the relationships that you entertain or don't, the inputs like the content you consume on social media and a million other inputs, food, everything. Design everything in your life to match your frequency. That means relationships, work environment, home environment, habits, everything. Say less, embody more, meaning that you lead by your own alignment, not by telling other people how great you are or what you're doing. Um, Let go of outdated identities, timelines, and urgency. Create from intrinsic motivation rather than pressure. And lastly, collapse outdated loops that no longer match where you're at. The upgrade trigger here is you stop navigating your life through control, planning, and pressure, and you let your frequency and that feeling lead your life with precision.
I want to go all the way back to the beginning of tier 4 because I think it's the theme that trickled down throughout. You mentioned shift from the cognitive to energy. And a way that I've heard this framed too from Daniel White, who's also been on the podcast. He talks about going from above the neck, the mind, to below the neck, the heart. The heart being an energy source, resonance. Is this what we're talking about? Because when you brought up the point of fear, you mentioned cognitive fear. What's the difference between maybe fear of your life as your example, but to cognitive fear? Because it is getting out of the mind into the heart. Am I following you correctly with your perspective here?
Shifting from over analyzing, over processing logic, spreadsheets, what are other people going to think of my decision, self doubt, things like that. So when you eliminate all of that cognitive, those cognitive loops that actually just keep you stuck,
Yeah.
then you can focus on everything, right? So I still believe that there is power up here.
Okay.
Like when you close your eyes, you almost see a invisible field behind your eyes that you can feel the energy around you.
Mm,
When there's something negative, you don't need to see it, you don't need to hear it, you can feel it.
mhm.
Um, and so that's like, so it doesn't have to just be like down head, but it's using your entire set of human capabilities,
Yes.
rather like your gut, your heart, your hands, everything else that's going on in your head, rather than just this over processing mentally.
It's almost like, this intuition, what I've been thinking about myself, a lot of artificial intelligence. I'm not so interested in artificial intelligence, it's the authentic intelligence, and you have these different levels of intelligence, different types of intelligence to tune into because it all, once again, comes back from within. So tier 4, moving into tier 5.
Tier 5 is called reality architecture. The quote here is, "I hold the vision and frequency builds the structure." A key point in tier 5 is that you have moved from a level where you're no longer designing for yourself, you are designing for others. You are creating situations that others can step into positively, whether that be a business, a community, a movement, something like that. So now it's starting to impact other people. Um, Common signs are your visions materialize quickly, cleanly, and without resistance. The right people, ideas, and opportunities arrive effortlessly. You guide and lead others through frequency, not persuasion. How you show up, like how you feel about yourself, what you see in them without having to tell them anything. You can drive that just through your energy and your frequency. Um, Others shift and elevate just by being around you. Somebody at tier 2 spends enough time with someone in tier 5, they will become a tier 5. It will happen. People will assimilate to the frequency. It's like that story of, oh, like you're the collection of the 6 people you spend the most time with. Why is that? It's because frequency is contagious, and frequency is their beliefs, their emotions, their actions, and their intentions. Those 4 things combined, you combine that with the people you spend your time with, that's your life. That's you. And then lastly, you build in ways that feel inevitable, not forced. And so I get that many people listening to this podcast will hear tier 5 and be like, this guy's lost his mind. What do you mean people arrive effortlessly? What do you mean? Like, no, you have to put out a job description and advertise it on LinkedIn and post about it 100 times and hire a recruiter for 100 grand so you can find the right person. And it's like, actually, a lot of the times when you do all that stuff, you find the wrong person. And uh,
Is it because you're forcing something?
it's because you're seeking, there's urgency, there's forcing, you're trying to determine your own sequence of events and things that should happen. Why does that happen?
Mhm.
A lot from the capital stack, I'll tell you that much. Like I can look at the tech companies and what they do on that. Why are most executive roles revolving doors? It's because of the capital stack, which then drives how the company operates, which is at a tier 1 frequency. It's entirely not complicated. I haven't been able to explain that until very recently, but many people should think, because your work environment, you spend a majority of your life in that work environment. It doesn't have to be an office either. A digital environment has a resonance frequency that you will assimilate to. And so if you feel burnout, scarcity, confusion, urgency, pressure, like a lot of times your work environment is causing that to you. And staying in that
Mm.
environment is self-harm. And to think that you can just close the door and you can leave work and then you can go into your regular life and show up in your relationships and all the other things that you want to do in your life is a lie and is wrong. That your frequency will stay with you. And so I think to recognize that part.
This
I'll-
is the personal professional integration.
yeah, what do you mean? Like over here, I put my suit on and then I go to work, and over here, I pretend on social media that I'm some other person, and then when I'm at home, I act like a different person. What? How exhausting! How exhausting! It's like theatrical and performative, and like, and to recognize that and say, I'm doing this, and realize how much it's holding you back and how much weight it causes to pretend to be someone in public and then be somebody else behind closed doors. Like, forget, yeah, I don't want no part in that.
And the environment, to connect a dot back to your point about like habits and willpower, there was a book that I read a while back by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. It's titled Willpower Doesn't Work. And you're right, the willpower is going to burn out 14, 30 days after you try. And so even to the point of environment, shaping the environment, the influence the environment's going to have on these different levels. So tier 5, are we in tier 5 still?
We're in tier 5. Let's talk about the core
Okay.
focuses of this tier. Um, to architect from clarity instead of control. To encode your vision and frequency into scalable systems. To expand your capacity to hold power, precision, and impact. And to build with precision, and stay energetically clear while remaining unattached to outcomes. And then the upgrade trigger here from 5 to 6 is that you stop chasing results and forcing outcomes, and you start letting your frequency architect it all. And you trust that the right people that are aligned to that mission and see it will be there. And that if you don't feel creative that day, but you have to deliver something, that you say, I'm not going to sit here for 9 hours and not deliver this thing. I'm going to wait until my frequency is in the right spot, and then it'll happen in 15 minutes. And you wait for the idea to come to you rather than forcing it. Same with the opportunities and the people. Instead of going out and seeking a partner, you wait for that partner to come to you. How do you do that? You hold the right frequency, you broadcast the vision, you 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 do those things. And then you allow those people that feel magnetically aligned. Like I haven't reached out for anything. I've done 9 podcasts since I started this thing. Like, I'm not posting content 100 times a day like I used to on LinkedIn. That was an exaggeration. I posted 1 time a day for like 5 years. But I'm not doing those things anymore. And still, every single day, a new opportunity comes to me, a new person that wants to be a customer, a new person that wants to be a partner, somebody that feels this vision and wants to build it. Um, all of those different, or just an incredible blast of wisdom and insight and ideas. Like, I had one this morning. Um, and because I'm not operating on an urgency of like, oh, when we have to launch by September 30th, we better hurry up. We're falling behind. You start forcing, you start doing the wrong things. And where does the urgency come from? There's only one place that urgency comes from, and that is to impress other people. There's no other reason to be in a rush except that you want to impress other people and to show them that you raised some money, or that your business grew, or that you hired that person so your team is growing, or so you can go home and tell your spouse or your partner that everything's going great. But no matter, or why you buying that car, or what, anything that you're doing, particularly with urgency, not about showing off, but particularly with urgency, is only driven to impress other people. And when the only person that you need to impress is yourself, and have that intrinsic motivation of, I do things because I love them, not because of the stuff that it gets for me. I love the process. I love discovering that within myself. I love sharing that with other people. It becomes magnetic.
Mm. The thing that I'm hearing as you're moving from tier 5 to tier 6, 2 words are coming into my mind right now. Let go.
Mm.
You have to let go of almost everything for everything to then come in. Because I think you mentioned control. Like, you're moving, like, from control to clarity. So, we want to control. So, even saying the words "let go," and I feel that in my body right now, like, it's this, like a weight is just lifted, and it's let go. Let go, and that's something I've been thinking about this year myself. It's a reframe, let go, then let's go.
Hmm.
So moving from tier 5 to tier 6 now.
Into tier 6, it's called frequency field conductor. Meaning that, just like in the dribbling example, now you are commanding the game. Not for your own self-interest, not to score as many points as you can or make as much money as you can, but to positively impact society. The intentions are so pure and humanitarian that you're doing that for other people. And the core, the core of quote here is, "I don't force outcomes. I hold the frequency, and everything organizes." And so, one big thing from tier 5 to tier 6 is the scale of operation. So now it's not just you're impacting a business or a movement or a community. You start impacting societal systems. You start
Mm,
impacting how the education system works, or how the food system, which in the US is so broken, how the food
mhm,
system works, or how medicine works, or how currency flows. And you start to have these things that have ripple effects to millions or billions of people. Um, not driven by control or scarcity or any of those types of things, which other people build companies that have impacts on lots of people that are driven from the wrong intentions and the wrong frequency. So it's not, just to be totally clear, these tiers have nothing to do with your status, your followers, the amount of money you make, how big your company is, how many employees. That is the information era way of quantifying success. This is an entirely new way for the frequency era of how we quantify our success, which is based on impact, how we feel, how we show up, the quality of our relationships, the quality of our life. It's an entirely new way of looking at what success means that I think is incredibly empowering and amazing for everyone. Now, common signs in tier 6, um, others calibrate to your frequency just by being around you. You walk into a room
Mm.
and everybody feels it and is like, whoa, something's different here. I feel different. I feel more clear. I feel better. You didn't say a word. It's not because of how you're dressed or how attractive you are or anything. You just have this presence that everyone can feel. It's incredible, by the way, to be able to do that for other people. Um, and also to recognize that it's them that's doing it. You are just standing there, you're just being, and that they have all that amazingness inside of them that they haven't seen yet. And you just get to be able to show them how powerful and amazing they are. You feel spacious, timeless, and unattached to outcomes. No urgency. Not I'm behind. Not I'm running out of time. Everything's happening perfectly. Your silence speaks louder than words. People activate just in your presence, meaning they spend time with you and immediately they're like, oh, this is why I'm here on the earth. Like, this is what I'm here to do. And you shape global, cultural, and societal systems, and the impact feels inevitable. Key focus areas here inside of tier 6, deepen coherence and integrity of your frequency field, allow transmission of your frequency to happen through presence, not through performance or anything like that, expand capacity to lead without effort, stay deeply rooted even when others are shifting around you, and create the conditions for others to rise. And then at this point, there is no upgrade trigger from tier 6 because there is no tier 7. It's totally possible that there's a 7, 8, and 9 that we just as humans haven't discovered yet, and I'm pumped to continue to share this with other people and have other people be able to share that. But at the moment, that is the end, and there is no upgrade trigger in tier 6. It is to you've returned to the purest expression of what it is to be a human, and you can just hold your frequency field.
So once again, I hear you download this, and like before, I articulated as letting go. From this, you talk about coming back to the purest expression of being a human, and you said something. You're just being. You're just being. Like we were human beings. We're not human doers. And I think for me, the longest time, I was so focused on the doing that I forgot the whole point of being and being present. You're talking about moving from performance to presence. And like being present with another human being is the best present that we can present to them in the present moment. I know it's like super deep, but it's just how my brain connects dots. Uh, wow. You've given me a lot to think about with these 6 different tiers, the actions that you can take, the way that you can look and assess and reflect of where you are with love, with kindness, not judging, not comparing
Mm-hmm.
yourself, but really going deep within to unlock that next level of personal growth, to level up. We're, we're not competing with this. For someone who is watching and listening and they want to continue to explore this themselves, explore these different tiers, to learn to continue the conversation that we've started here today, Chris, what's the best way for them to connect with you? Reach out, say hello.
So just this framework that I just presented, which includes the tiers, the common signs, the focus areas, the upgrade triggers, is called the Encoded Frequency Map. It will be published on our website in the coming days. We are encoded.com, so feel free to check out and explore that. At Encoded, we believe that doing this is a skill, that it is not about that you can hire a trainer to learn how to do the exercises right, but eventually you need to do the training. And so we are building training equipment and routines that help people be able to move methodically through these levels. And so those are available to you should you want to. Also, you can follow the We Are Encoded podcast on Spotify and Apple, which covers a lot more of this information, although JR's episode with me was number one, and I feel like these episodes that we do together are just amazing. So thank you for inviting me back. And then if you just have a question, or if you just have some feedback, or you're working on something, feel free to shoot me a DM on LinkedIn or Instagram, or you can find my email. Like however you want to get in touch with me, I'd love to hear from you. So yeah, thanks for if you made it this far in the episode, thanks for sticking around and being a part of it. I hope it was valuable to you. I hope that it was inspiring. I hope that it was empowering to see that there is so much more inside of you, regardless of where you're at right now. And thank you very much for having me, JR.
Chris, thank you so much. And to the point of inspiring, let's turn that inspiration into action. Let's just take one next step. So as you're wrapping up, and once again, if you have made it this far, thank you for investing your time, sharing your energy and your attention with both Chris and I today. And we look forward to continuing to see you level up on your journey as well.
I want to thank you again for tuning in to learn, to grow, to level up together with Chris and his unique wisdom. Before we leave, are you a visionary entrepreneur who wants to monetize your unique wisdom, who wants to elevate your brand so that you can increase your influence? If this is you, send me a text, 832-240-1922. That's because I want to teach you how you can turn video content just like this into a published book that monetizes your unique wisdom in just 90 days.